Anybody know?
Welcome to the Appetite for Discussion show with your host, Brendan Crouch.
Thank you, Julius. Appreciate it, man. Hey, Dallas Norman, Marc Brown. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Who's ready to talk?
For having us.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll
Who's ready to talk about some football?
Yeah, man. That's what we do.
Football's not just for Sundays and Fridays and Thursdays and Saturdays, Mondays.
Yeah, well, situation like we're in, it's 7 days a week.
Absolutely.
Right now. So, yeah.
So, one of the reasons, the big reason I want to have you guys here is because I met you a few weeks ago in the coffee shop, and our kids go to the same daycare together, and I'd heard the story about you helping form a team or organization or a league or whatnot. We got to talking. I was like, would you ever want to come on the podcast and tell the story? Because I think it's a great story, because I don't know anyone who has ever had the opportunity, or how does that even start? Like, how do you go from sitting in the stands to, I think I can help, or I think I can do this? Because a lot of us sit back as parents or sports fans and go, I think I can help, but how do you do it? How did you do it?
Well, I mean, so it wasn't so much, being in the stands. It's been involved with youth sports for a while, off and on. And then, having kids and just trying to figure it out, I've never been a person, that just getting information from people, but never do this. This is the way you have to do this. You need, you just get different information, try to do what's right for your kids and put your kids in a good situation. And, so it's not a short answer, because it's a drawn out what, kind of transpired to what brought Mark and I together, and some of these dudes that, are involved with Iredell United now, which become good friends and same goals and, different backgrounds, but, mutual goals and interest in when it comes to the youth and football in general, what we think we can bring to the table.
And Iredell United, is that kind of the umbrella? Like, that's the organization, like that's the name of it?
So the organization's Iredell United. The Bandits are the logo. It's like we talked about, the lions and tigers and bears, and the rest of it's, kind of worn out. And so we had to call it something with the guy that, I formed this with. But, to answer the question you asked me, so having kids, and when I first had Brody, my oldest son, introduced him to everything. I wasn't set on him playing football. Mm-hmm. Just introduced him to all of it. And he had a dirt bike, and we rode four-wheelers, and we went fishing, and, did all the stick and ball stuff together. Just like, what do you like? I'm not going to live through him. I'm not going to live through my kid. And I played football in high school. Nothing beyond that. Well, technically, I played for the post league when I was in the Army, which was something similar to if the prison system had a football league. That's similar to what it would be like, because a bunch of young guys all jacked up.
Yard.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So you were essentially Burt Reynolds in the longest yard.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but playing with a bunch of dudes who are just jacked up and yoked up and, want to hurt someone, and the referees are all for you hurting each other. so it really don't count, right? But it was a good time, good experience, But, when Brody got old enough to play ball, and just trying to gather information on what's the best situation to put him in. We live in Troutman, and looked around and just hadn't really gotten involved with it before that, because I didn't have a reason to. Yeah. Got involved with an organization that I'd heard was pretty good and organized, and we went to summer camp with them and went into the season, and got into a situation to where head coach of the team that he was going to play for, and he was 7 at the time, got put in head coach, and then immediately this guy plugged his kid in at a specific position, and was going through some stuff. I'm like, after a couple of days of it, I'm like, I've heard about this. This is daddy ball that everybody warned me of. If you get into these leagues, the daddy ball is like, this is what's going on here.
So for people who at home maybe don't understand or not huge sports fans, explain to them what daddy ball is.
Well, I mean, essentially it's where my experience has been with it. And I've never, truthfully, I haven't had like the brunt of it personally with my kid. And because my kid's always been prepared. I've always done my job as a dad and got my kid prepared. When it's time, to the season to start and you've not been training for the season, you're not prepared. We start before that.
Right. Just
like anything else in life, you put the work in. So, but essentially my experience with it is, and I have to be careful about what I'd say as far as that, because there are some folks out there who more experienced than me, played football at a higher level, kid's not athletic, very athletic, and they want them to be, but essentially they're not club level kids. They're not AAU.
They're putting them ahead of some other kids that could be more talented.
They are. They're rec kids. And you have to respect the fact that if you're playing football, I respect it. Like, you got to respect it. A lot of people get into, if you're not doing this or, club ball or playing at this league and playing this, you're playing football. And less and less people are letting their kids play football. Less and less kids are playing football for multiple different reasons. Yeah. But the daddy ball situation is when you have a guy who plugs his kid in, he's the quarterback. It's always the guy. Head coach is, and the kid's the quarterback. And if people listening to this, well, aren't you the head coach and your kid's the quarterback? Well, I don't coach the offense. I stay away from that. And last year I brought a guy in. You coach the offense. It's yours to run. I'm gonna stay out of your way. And I did that again this year. But we're in a little different situation with our quarterback situation and myself. So
I think when it comes to me growing up playing sports all through until I became an adult, and even as an adult. That's weird. There were opportunities to where daddy ball was in play, right? But then people realized that the kid shouldn't have been in a position playing that he was playing. Yeah. But there's also times where the son of the dad is actually a stud and belongs into that position.
And if that's a clear cut,
it's clear cut.
Your common sense look at the kid, and he moves like an athlete, and he carries himself, and he's smart, and he's got it below the waist as far as he's athletic, and he's got it above the shoulders.
Yep.
And that's just hate.
Right.
I mean, that's just just hating on the dude, right?
I mean, my thing is, if I was to see, I'm gonna use Dallas' son as an example, Brody.
Yeah.
If he was to come to me not knowing Dallas, me not knowing Brody would be my quarterback because he's prepared. He's been very well prepared for the game, And at the end of the day, a lot of people want to do the participation and everybody play, everybody get a trophy. That doesn't get these kids ready for if they want to go to the next level, like high school ball or college ball. There's no such thing as participation.
So that brings up a good point for folks listening. What age group do you guys work with?
6 to 12-year-olds.
6 to 12-year-olds.
We actually have several 4-year-olds that's playing.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're on the team. But they're
on the team. 2 of them scored.
Well, but maybe they're not
extra special.
Yeah,
no, we do, and that might blow you away.
They're a little bit.
So to get back to what you had asked me to kind of segue into what you're talking about now is, not a lot of folks are letting their 5-6-year-olds play football.
Correct.
And so we were at this rec organization, and I've experienced the daddy ball deal, and at the time. These guys were poor-mouthing this club-level organization in Mooresville, based out of Mooresville. Great organization, ran by good people. We've had our ups and downs and ins and outs, but we've patched it all up now. But the organization's called Powerhouse, been around a long time. Win a lot. They're good, solid group of dudes.
Absolutely.
Started by a guy that just had the stuff and turned it into a legitimate youth football organization that can go and compete just about anywhere. But they were poor-mouthing it in a way that attracts people like us. And the way that it was poor-mouthed is, they, everything's kind of earned over there and everything, where they don't let everybody play, and they're going on and on. I was like, man, I've got myself caught up in a terrible, everybody gets a trophy daddy ball situation here.
Right.
Well, guess who I called?
Those other guys.
Powerhouse.
Right.
See what you guys got going on. Everybody's hating on you here. I want to see for myself. I hear it enough. Let's go see what's going on over there, right? So we went over there and played ball, had a good time. Coach with a guy which is now runs the organization. We've got a good, healthy, rivalry type relationship. Talk a lot. I've changed a lot of things about the way since I first started doing this to where I am now. More mellow about it, just smarter about it. Just more and educated about it. Just being around people and coaching and the X's and O's and what I think where we're driving these kids. And Mark can talk all about where we get to the point where we can talk about what we're doing now going forward. But so we were there, and then I've always been, with my kids, and Mark's like this, and a lot of the folks in the organization were all very, very similar as far as it's tough love at my house. Like everything's earned. Like the big misconception about me and maybe my kids are, that it hasn't been easy. Now let me tell you. And nobody's kid around Troutman wanted to be my kid at one time.
That's a good thing.
And it was because of he took to stick and ball sports. He didn't like dirt bikes. Yeah. He didn't want to play soccer. He didn't want to do this. He wanted to play football. So I tell people, Brody didn't pick football. Football picked him. Mm-hmm. And so I would come home. And in the door and out the back door, he's like, "Hey, come on, let's go." We're out there, and I was like, "All right, dude, if we're going to do it, you're going to get lathered up. I mean, we're not going to go out here and we're not going to play catch. If you want to do this, I'm going to show you the best I can how to do this."
And how old is he at the time?
7.
So you're laying open field tackles on him.
No, just about. I mean, yeah, working, so
rattle some teeth, no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to learn, and he took it on himself to, the misconception is like I beat this into this kid.
Right.
He really beat it into me. And my wife and anybody around us will tell you a good example would be last year when, and I don't want to turn this into a conversation about my kid because we got a lot of good kids in the organization to talk about, but just this one particular, this is how it got started. You ask, and I'm telling you a long version of it, but it's important for the backstory because to get to where we are is, I'd always told Brody, I said, "Look, I'm not going to make you do anything. Mm-hmm. I'm not living through you. My life would be a lot easier if I didn't have the things I've got going on right now." I said, "But if you want to do this, you ask me, I'll help you."
Right.
He kept asking. 7 years old, 8 years old, watching his own videos, watching football, wanting to watch football, and wanting to learn these things. So it got me more involved in it to say, okay, this kid obviously has an interest in this. My responsibility as a dad is to be a dad first, and if he wants to do this, I'm going to put him in every situation I can to help him. Well, the situation I put him in is unlike what most anybody would do, especially white folks. I put him into a situation where, I took him to power cross in Statesville. It's like, you sink or swim, dude. Here you go. You want to play this game?
There you go.
There you go, my man. And met some great people. One of my best friends today, we coached, together first year, and Raymond,
Yeah.
and one of my good friends to this day had some good relationships come out of there. There for a couple years, and then my work picked up and got really busy, and I had to do something different. And so I considered, the rec ball thing in Troutman where I live, and I got to pull away from coaching because I'm in construction.
Yeah.
And I told you about it. It's a very niche industry what I'm in. There's only 5 companies essentially in town, and I'm one of 5, and Charlotte do what I do. So it's very niche, and so there's very minimal amount of work out there. So, it really got to beat the bushes. And so I needed something easy. And everyone that I respect that I can actually talk football and X's and O's with said, "Man, you can't do that. You've been here, Powerhouse, great organization. Power Cross is a great organization for what they do and how they do things. But I just needed something easier personally. Mm-hmm. It's like, and so I took them there, and it was everything they said it was going to be. It was participation trophy. Everybody gets a trophy. Parents controlling the coaches, yelling at the coaches, and just I'm sitting in the stands, and my kid's not happy. It was just easy. It was like I was on the sidelines with a controller. Like he's complaining to me about how easy it was. And socially it wasn't good for him because he had been so much more prepared playing with those club level organizations.
Yep.
Kids are bigger, stronger, faster. They tackle.
Right.
Will hit you hard. And just like real football is.
Well,
so go ahead.
Well, let me ask you, you're talking about the participation trophies. Like, how difficult is it today that you guys see when you have kids coming out to play football? Are these more kids who come to you guys to play? I don't want to say you seek them out, but they probably come to you maybe? to try to try out for your team. They're more of the go-getters, not so much that I'm looking for a trophy because
No. It's guys like us. It's guys like what we talked about earlier. But so it's very important to point out. So I live in Troutman, great people in the community, know a lot of people in the community. The situation with football in with Troutman just wasn't good for us. It just had issues with
it just didn't fit what you were looking for.
Too many issues. Just didn't fit. Just uncontrolled issues.
Okay.
Just uncontrolled. Good people there though, man. There's good, solid people in these organizations around. Unfortunately, they're discouraged from bringing their kids over to play for us, and I can kind of see that. I've had people literally come up, it's like, we know what you're doing, we like what you're doing, we'd really like to be involved with, but we go to church or we do this with these people, and you know how they do, folks, and if you don't kind of go with them, which makes me mad. I'm like, hold on, you're telling me that you would like your son to be playing football for this organization for how we get prepared, our what we're doing from the summer on, how we're preparing these kids for, just not to compete football wise, but to compete in life.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Right? I mean, for a good example of this, if you were to text Mark right now that you just got a headhunter service reached out to you and going to pay $200,000 a year, Mark jump up and run out of the room, knowing I needed the same job, right? I mean, it's competition.
Absolutely.
Right? Everything's about competition.
Sure.
You're competing, and competition isn't social, my man.
But
and that's what I tell our kids. Competition isn't social. It's good that you build this camaraderie with folks, but competition is not social.
No, it's not.
And so that was our deal with where we were. It was we were a little more too competitive.
But life is competitive, and when these kids get older, life is going to smack a lot of these kids in the mouth because not everyone graduates high school or college and has to go to the interview and get the $100,000 a year job at 21 years old. So you're not going to get that trophy. You're going to have to start in at an entry-level position, most people, and you're going to have to grind your way up. And if you've never grinded before, then it's going to be a rude awakening. Yeah. And that's one thing that concerns me about younger kids today, and even I don't know what it's going to be like as my kids are growing up, but I can sure damn well promise you that my kids are going to grind. Yeah. And they're going to have to work. Because you're not going to get – life isn't going to hand you anything. Right. And I'm sure not leaving them a fortune. Sorry. Yeah. It's just not happening.
No, I didn't.
So, but it's
with you on that.
It's interesting, and it's kind of concerning too that the folks who may have said that to you in a way, in a small scale, are kind of setting their kids up for failure by not wanting to hurt other people's feelings in a way. So it's interesting. It's like, well, we'd like to, you're learning life lessons because whether you like sports or not, if you're part of a team, if you're part of an organization, it teaches you how to work together, to be a team player, not to be an individual. There's no I. You need other people around you. It helps you work with people, build skills, build confidence, and you use what you learn on the field of A, B, or C in life.
Well, so to point out the differences is a lot of these people believe they're doing that with their way they're doing it. I'm not, so I can only talk about that experience down there and then that league in the south end of the county. You get up here in this part of the county, it's very competitive. It's ran by different people. It's ran, by good, solid dudes who have the same thoughts as we do. But it's just a different, it has the North Iredell kids in it. It has guys from rural part of Statesville. It's different. Then you get to Troutman South, the median income changes
drastically.
And people change.
Sure.
I'm from the north end of the county. I spend a lot of time up there. I tell people that's never been up there, it's a different world. It's a different world.
It is a different world.
It's a different world, man. It's a different mentality, how they're raising their kids, and how, you could get after those kids more than you can get after those kids in South Iredell. Right. You can't get after those kids. So the thing about it is, what led me to, to get the conversation going to try to start, Iredell United was we were with an organization that just wasn't good socially for Brody. I didn't care about it socially for me. I'm the kind of guy that's, it's like wine, Mark's the same way. You either like us or you don't, I'm not going to perfume things up or dress a different way. Hell, look at me. Everybody keeps asking, what's going on with that hair? I've never grown my hair. I was like, I never grown my hair.
Right. One day I'm going to too.
Next year.
Yeah. Right.
I'm going to
grow while you can.
Beard. Whatever. I'm not going to pretend to be something else or dress, the saying, fake it till you make it. Well, you got to have some of that in there, when you're trying to make it. but I'm not going to sell out and pretend to be something else, and I'm not going to talk a different way, and I'm not going to be a certain way if I know what I'm doing is what I think is the right way. So a good example would be leaving these organizations, coaching kids the way I coach these kids at the two organizations I talked about, going to the rec level. You can't talk to those kids that way.
Yeah.
You know, they want to showed up. We'll just call this guy an administrator, educator.
Okay.
School system. Heard you're going to run the spread with these kids. Yes, sir. That's what I'm going to do. Good luck with all that. They're real sarcastic.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? You ain't going to be able to do that. It's like, well, I've done it before. You can't do that. All right.
So why would he say you can't do that? Kids aren't smart enough? Kids aren't athletic enough?
I think he was saying they weren't athletic enough.
Okay.
You got to have speed to run spread.
Yeah,
Sure.
So,
A lot of people think you have.
We
to
had a
have
couple
run
speedy
speed.
kids, and then ultimately, the kids were more underdeveloped than I thought that they were, or I, just wouldn't have went there. And he was right. He was right. Ultimately, couldn't win with them, and I couldn't win with them, and just had a lot of situations going on off the field and parent situations, and didn't like my style. Socially, it wasn't good for my son, and led to some crap going on with lady, cussing out my wife in the stands for my kids' play, and I'm like, yeah, I've had enough of this crap.
But that happens a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
parents
it's-
really get involved, and
no,
they
it's-
actually take it way more
Yeah,
serious than the
yeah,
kids
yeah,
do,
yeah,
which
yeah.
actually sucks the fun out of it for the kids.
It really does,
Actually
man.
ruining it.
Yeah.
It ruins it.
Yeah.
Parents are
it does.
ruining it now. That's the biggest problem in sports worldwide.
You sports,
Youth,
yeah.
all the way up to the high school level,
Yeah.
the parents are ruining it.
They want so much more, but they give so less, and I have a saying, at IU that, your expectation of me and my coaches
Yep.
should match the same expectation we have of you getting your kid prepared.
Sure.
I mean, did you give us a football player, or did you give us a kid to babysit? And a lot of cases, these kids are athletic, but they're underdeveloped. And we do a pretty good job bringing in some dudes. We bring in some dudes, and iron sharpens iron. That's what we believe in,
Right.
And it goes back to where I told you what I've done with my own son. Iron sharpens iron. And I throw him in these situations, and that was just. I'm not going to say it was a mistake, because after the situation happened with my wife, and I was trying to separate myself from it, and just like, this is worse than I thought, kind of thing. I had people coming to me at the same time, interested in what, like, where's he played ball?
Right.
Where'd you guys come from? And I'd talk to them about it, and they were telling me, like, that's what we want for our son. That's what we want. We want it to be earned. We want it to be hard. These guys only get started August 1st. Well, football season starts the end of August.
Right.
Like, you're showing up August
3 weeks
1,
before.
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks before a game starts.
To get
I mean,
prepared,
you
to
can't
get into shape.
Prepared mentally, physically, any of it.
It
right?
really
So-
sounds like the biggest difference in what you're doing in your organization versus, say, rec league or whatever else. It's more disciplined. It's more structured organization.
It's a violent sport, man. You
It
have
is.
to be disciplined.
Yeah, right.
Or you could actually get your child hurt.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of pushing these kids the way we do, because it's a very violent sport, man.
So you guys playing football in high school, and also with the longest yard crew. How have you guys seen the difference in transition over the decades you've been exposed to football with kid participation or lack of participating in contact sports like football? Like we read about, like there is a decline, like in Pop Warner or whatnot. Do you guys see it locally? Do you feel it locally?
Absolutely.
So if the
I
kids
think
aren't,
it's nationwide. It's nationwide, and that's something that. Sorry, go ahead and finish.
I was gonna say,
question, so-
are you? Do you feel like you're losing the kids to video games, or are you losing the kids to soccer?
Football, I think, is, Mark just hit on it. Violent game, violent sport. It's a gladiator sport.
Right.
It's a gladiator sport, right?
100%.
It's the last one. I mean, so MMA, you truly, obviously, he's a gladiator, but you can't really grow up MMA fighting at 8 years old. I mean, I guess you can.
Not legally, but yeah.
Right, yeah, maybe you can, right? So this game of football, which is the most popular sport we have in this country, is declining, rapidly. Less and less kids playing, and I think it goes right back to, like, the situation we tried to get out, or we got out of to form IU is there's all this entitlement. there's all this. If you give folks an easy way out,
Yeah.
something easy, they'll take it. They'll jump right on it, right? So the conversations I have, and I'm out trying to, I'm out recruiting kids.
Sure.
I'm not hanging out McDonald's playgrounds,
Right.
You know?
Anymore.
But, yeah, right. So but if I'm at Dick's Sporting Goods or Academy and I'm looking for something, and I see a dude that looks like a football player, I'm not talking to the kid. I'm like, wait till he gets with his parents. Like, this kid play ball? And we get talking about it. We've picked up a lot of folks like that. And then some I've had run off from me, like parents like, oh, I heard about Iredell United. No, we play over here in the rec league and they go running the other way, act like I'm the boogeyman.
Has there been since concussions is so, when it comes to football, it's like the number one topic with parents and kids. If you talk to parents who have kids my age, and my wife's like, Dempsey's never playing football. He's not going to get, he's not going to get a concussion. He's not going to do that. Well, you can get a concussion falling off your bike, jumped off a trampoline, cheerleading, soccer.
That's the most common conversation. Like, we're asking about bringing kids in, and I'm out talking to folks and parents, and our coaches are, and that's the most common thing I get back of, well, we're not going to let our son play until he gets older. Well, hold on. There's a couple of different things that coaches won't always admit to. If you're a coach, you want a football player,
right?
A good coachable football player that can help you contribute, at any level, and it's, I don't know that there's any difference at any level if you get a solid athlete, you can do quite a bit with them. You get a kid later in life, later in age, like at for example, our varsity age, whatever, get a kid that's never played football. And then you have the kids on our team who've played ball since they're 6 years old, some of these guys.
Yeah.
You're not just behind physically. You don't know the game of football.
Correct.
But those parents' expectations are the same because they chose not to play and not to take care of the baby. Bubble wrap them. Bubble wrap them in life. But here's what I ask folks every time that conversation comes up of, does your son play football? No, he's not going to play football. Does he have a trampoline? About a BMX bike. Oh, yeah, we got that. I was like, well, my kids have been hurt well worse on those.
100%.
Football.
One of the large, I used to work in the emergency department, and one of the largest or most frequent injuries would come in for kids was trampolines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hate them.
Yeah.
We've got one. I hate it.
Yep. Because they're more likely to get hurt on that, breaking an arm, a leg, whatever.
A friend of ours' daughter fell off ours, broke her elbow. Could have been my kids right before football season.
Accidents are going to happen.
I think that's a case of getting comfortable with something,
but it's an easy out.
Disrespecting it, and anything can hurt you.
Right.
You can walk down the street and fall and break your neck. Anything can hurt you.
Yeah, everyone's bubble wrapping, their kids, and it goes back to everything with us. I'm old school. Mark's old school, and I'm raising my kids like folks do in the north end of the county.
Yep.
And I'm not fire and brimstone discipline, but we're disciplined. We're the video games, like we talked about how we do things at our house. We don't allow that during the week.
Yep.
We control it on the weekends. We give them a couple hours a weekend if they want to play. One wants to play, one doesn't. So we control it.
Do you guys think what's the new technique for tackling? What is it, heads up? Is that what they're teaching now, like in Pop Warner and growing up?
Yeah, that's something that's part of our parent organization that you mentioned. Pop Warner. Pop Warner is that is just a league of itself. It started in California years ago. So where we are now with club football, which is what we are, club. It's not travel, as folks who want to deter folks from coming over and playing ball with us. They're traveling all over. We're not doing that. I'm not doing that to myself, my family, or my parents in the organization.
Sure.
We may have to travel 30 minutes away, but the majority of our games are within 30 minutes of 45 minutes away. We drove 45 minutes away this year. That's it. It's the farthest we had to go. The rest of them were within 30 minutes of Troutman where we practice. But, I guess to get back to your point, which was earlier, you'd ask about how we went from there to IU. To sum all that up, of what we're talking about right now is when folks were coming to me about where we had been, what we had done, and I told them that's what we want to do. I was like, well, let's do it, because club ball is what we are. It's
Yep.
club football. Now, there's been club basketball, AAU around forever.
Right.
There's certainly enough travel baseball around,
Oh yeah.
volleyball,
Sure.
softball,
You name
club
it.
everything.
Club
right?
everything.
Football is with needing the amount of players and teams to form an organization, it's the population's just now grown here to where you can have what California and Texas and Ohio and Florida's had for forever.
Sure. Which is year-round
club football.
exposure.
Not to mention it's very expensive.
Is it really? I was going to ask you,
Very
how,
expensive.
what about
I coach both sports, basketball and football. And when I say football, takes you to a whole nother level. At the bottom price, as far as equipment. And, it's a lot.
So I was going to ask that. That's a good question, that people maybe not even think of because it wasn't the first thing I thought of. Is like funding. So you guys are privately funded, I'm assuming, or fundraising, or, or is there a league that pays?
No.
I may have to sneeze, so you guys keep.
We get some funding. When I'd had my feel with that other stuff and wanted something better for my own kid and friends of mine's kid and the guy I originally started Iredell United with, wanted the same for his kid. They wanted to get away from the daddy ball, everybody gets a trophy stuff, just completely different thought, doing the minimum, no working out in the summer, no getting prepared like we do at my house when, started getting prepared in late spring of speed and agility. And all the things that you have to prepare yourself to play the sport, to be any good at it, to contribute. If you want your son to contribute at football, you've got to get prepared for it. Why, folks, that just doesn't catch on like you would think. Like people, they expect it from the coaches.
Sure,
it's always your problem. You're
not doing your job.
Not doing your job. I hear it and see it all the time. I can't even hardly go to a high school game anymore and watch. I have to move it, and when I go to a high school game, if I go to the same school, I'll move set different places because I can't sit beside some of the parents that sit there and continuously yell at the coaches. And then you ask, like, who's their kid? Well, he's over there on the bench. He's 17, 18 years old, but he's got the arms the size of my 13-year-old and legs about the same. And it's like, never touched weights.
Right.
Never been to a football camp. Never got his body prepared. And he's expecting the coach to give him the same treatment as the guy who's put in hours and hours and hours, approaching 10,000 hours of work when no one's watching.
First question a recruiter was going to ask you. You plan on playing college football, basketball, whatever sport it may be, the first question they're going to ask you, how much do you bench press?
It's interesting. My cousin is a head football coach in high school, and he has those guys. Strength and conditioning is key. It's critical in everything that they do, and they start that training program as soon as they can in the off season. Because with high school sports, the regulations are much different than when we were in school. You could lift, you could practice, you could do whatever.
They got dead times now where they you shut everything down.
Which is it's interesting.
They do that, but that goes back on the parent. That's an institution requirement. That's the school requirement.
It's not your requirement.
It's not your personal requirement for your kid at your house.
Correct.
If your kid is serious about performing and getting on the field early, they're going to go put in that work.
Right.
You're not going to deny that person working on his own.
No, you're right.
Put the work in, no matter what it is. Makeshift gym, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, but it's hard for someone, an individual or the parent, to take that finger and point it back this way.
No, it never happens.
Right.
They never take responsibility for their own actions. It's easier for them just to yell at coaches and blame. Like my biggest pet peeve is the politics. Oh, it's politics. Why so-and-so's kid's getting to play. So-and-so's kid, 6'4", 220 pounds, runs a 4.5 40. Ain't no damn politics in that, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
It's called certified athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn, dude, you not see that tackle he made the play before? Where's the politics in that, right? But people will never point back, I did a bad job.
Right.
So that goes back to all the things that I was trying to do with my son because I have an obligation. I helped, wife and I put these kids on this planet. I have an obligation to my family and society to make a productive human being.
Yep.
Right? And a man. I'm raising a man at my house. Men, 3 of them. I got 3 boys. Raising men. We raise men. Right? I know that's society-wise.
Well, I was going to say,
that's a word that just
you got to be careful
might
today.
Get that taken out of society too. I'm raising a man right at my house, and part of that is the things you can learn through football. So getting away from the other stuff, wanting to do something different, wanting a multicultural organization. Wanting all these things for my kids to be a part of. And I had the experience through the other organizations. I'd saw the worst of it. Just do what I do in business. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna make it happen. Make it happen. And then got into, okay, what's it gonna cost? Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started meeting with equipment reps.
Okay.
And we're meeting with all the major equipment reps. And so talking about, you ask about concussions, and I guess I'm plugging Iredell, and I got this from my equipment guy. My equipment rep from Iredell. I picked Iredell because I believe it to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I met with all the guys. And I don't have a relationship with my sales guy, and more now because we've been doing business for a couple of years. But at the time, I met with him same as I did to all of them. Okay, let me see your testing. Let me see all your research, and I did my own homework. Ask coaches. I know a lot of coaches, know coaches at every high school in the county and other places, and got their opinion on good equipment. So, and okay, there's different tiers of equipment like anything else. So we bought the best tier of equipment. I said, well, I think knowing what I know about people, letting their kids play, if we're going to attract folks, especially trying to build a 6U team whose kids have never, first time they're playing football, how do you sell this on their parents? Well, we have bought, and we're going to put your kid in the best equipment possible, and I don't know. I think the NFL's dropped the ball as far as, they're such a big company and what they can say and not say and liability wise, but they've dropped the ball in letting these outside entities, blast football and give it such a bad name. There's been a lot of cases of the CTE disease and which is supposedly related to concussions or maybe not, but I've got an opinion about that, which is those guys were NFL players.
Yep.
Biggest, strongest, fastest human beings on the planet. No doubt about it. Guys playing the league are special human beings.
Yep.
Right. Hitting each other full speed for a lot of years.
Sure.
Maybe there is something to that.
Yeah.
My kid's not going to play in the NFL. I mean, those kids are special. That's
right.
Like, if your kid's playing football and you think that he's an SEC caliber kid. Well, I go to SEC camps.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to a bunch of them this past year. I go, to Clemson camps. Great, the best camp there is, Clemson. We can talk about that if you want, and I'll tell you why I think Coach Sweeney's doing what he's doing. I think it's because I've been to all the other camps, and I've been to mid-major camps, and we spending a lot of time in it because, my son and his teammates that I'm hauling with him, that I'm putting the same effort into these guys as I am him. There is no special treatment between.
What do you
any
think
of those
he's
guys.
doing differently that makes them a step above or his camps?
We got to talk about IU at some point.
We're getting there
because Coach Sweeney, he's got his pretty good gig going on right now financially and the rest of it. So, but finish the conversation about IU, not to bounce all over, and I'll get into that. And I'll tell you why I think, based on observation, is I had just enough help to think I could pull this football thing off.
Yeah.
With Brad, and then I met Mark. First one I met, through friends of ours, coach that we know. And when I met Mark and we sat down, and Mark's certainly the backbone of the organization. I try not to. I don't put myself on a pedestal. It's not me. Like I told you earlier, I couldn't tell you what my wins and loss records are. I'm trying to get out of coaching. I just want to be the glue to hold this thing together. I think if anybody that can tell you how many youth football games or basketball games that they've won or lost, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. I mean, I can't tell you. I'm not living through the kids. Like I said, if Brody was unathletic, my life would be a lot easier. I mean, it'd be like, you go man, go have fun. He had 2 left feet. But we got into a situation to where he wasn't, and then we met all these other kids. They were great kids that I thought were worth my time and effort to invest in. And Mark's introduced me to a bunch of kids, and they're good kids, man, and they want guys like us. And so back to the organization, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way, the way I think it needs to be done. We're going multicultural organization, and it just so happens, like right now we talked about this, and it's not by design. It was by a want. We're roughly 50-50 black and white coaches. Mm-hmm. And just coincidentally, I never thought about it until after the season started. We've got 2 black head coaches. I'm a head coach, but like I said, nobody would take it. I tried to give it to everybody.
Right.
And just because I'm just the
nobody
glue
wants that
keeps
pain
all
in the
this
ass.
together. Well, no, it's just, it was wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. Well, you have
business, 3 kids, trying to run the organization and be the glue and all that, and all the problems get dumped off on me, and then, so somebody's got to do it. I'm cut out for it. I'm cut out for it, and
but if anybody's listening, wants to step up, go ahead.
Yeah, all three of you. So,
that's right, 100%.
So, that's what I wanted, and that's what I want for my kids. Now, to this day, guys that I grew up with, guys that I played football with, guys that grew up off Greenbrier and went before the redistricting and went to North Iredell. We get together, we have dinner, man, and we generally care about each other.
Right.
Different backgrounds, similar backgrounds. All of us grew up poor, like we talked about earlier. I don't give a damn what color you are. Poor is poor, right?
Poor is poor.
And I grew up, without a dad, and similar to some of these dudes in the organization are, whatever. And don't consider myself anything. I wouldn't change any of it because I'd learned a lot from it, and I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have to grind.
Right.
And that's what we get into now. So the football thing started at football. Now it's turned into something else. We've got good, strong leaders, guys that these young black kids that Mark brings to the table and these other guys can look up to in the organization, these head coaches, solid dudes, man. Like, I can go talk to these kids all day long. They're like, what's that guy know about,
Right.
Long-haired, redneck-looking dude. What's he know about? Maybe I don't know, But I can tell you that I've had a lot of conversations with these kids with things that they've never been told.
Yeah.
Which is, you can change your life by, one, acting right, being a student and athlete. They come together. And a realistic goal would be to go to Lenore Ryan's and Wingett's. That's a realistic goal.
That's sure.
People that think that. I tell my own kid, he understands it now. But if you were to ask an 8-year-old kid, where are you going to go to college one day? It's Clemson. It's Alabama.
Sure.
No, you're not.
They all got the same degree.
No, you're not.
Right.
Those dudes are special.
But don't you think
that's just not a realistic goal to have? A realistic goal to have is like the mid majors and which are great. It's football, right? Division II, Division III. Go to school, get a degree.
Yep.
I don't know where these stats came from, but supposedly you make $1 million more over a lifetime if you get a degree over someone who doesn't have it. Now, I'll argue about that. Maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. It depends on what you go into.
Things could be shifting now.
But a lot of these kids can change their life and simply by moving away from their situation and the big crab bucket that they're in. Because I did it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what, essentially happened to me. I just got away from the situation I was in and the dudes I was running with, And
but some of these young youth today, regardless of where they come from, there is a lack of positive male role models for kids, I think, as a whole today. Yeah. And the fact that it seems like you guys are giving more of a maybe an alpha male, leadership, but structure, because every kid needs structure. Every kid they don't want to say it, but every kid wants structure.
So that's where Mark and I and a lot of these guys, the more of the backbone of the organization we strive for. I want alphas.
Yeah.
I want alphas.
And
I don't do well with mediocre people. and I never have. And that was my issue with the rec guys.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's all the I have friends over there. They're good people, but a lot of the leadership down in South Iredell at the rec levels, guys that somehow a couple of them been fired and ran off now because they've gutted their organizations. Just not good people.
It's just not what you're looking for.
But they're nowhere near an alpha. I mean, they're just it was just daddy ball and shoving their kid and their buddies' kids down everybody's throats and stuff. Like we don't encourage it. I don't have it. We won't do daddy ball. We won't have it. We had the situation our first year, this past year. We ran people off. We told them to leave. Coaches, families, there for their own kid, not for the reasons why we started this.
Right.
And as soon as I sniffed that out and I realized someone's there for their own kid, and you're not for us. I have no problem telling someone that, because that's not what we're about. If the kids that Mark brings in on the van and some other dudes that our coaches pick up, bring in there, they're every bit as important as my kid, And I'll take that kid. He's more athletic over my own kid. Guess what, buddy? You got beat out. Who does that anymore? Who does that in society? Who will bring in strangers' kids to beat your own kid out of a position? I've always done it. Keep doing it.
Well, that's good.
Doing it through my middle son right now.
Competition.
Yeah, it's competition.
Competition's still a
You'll
good
sink
thing.
or swim. What kind of human being are you going to be? You going to figure it out, or are you going to sit there with your hand out like a lot of folks and wait for Daddy to put it there? 'Cause I'm
Life's
not
a
putting it there,
competition.
man. I'm not doing it.
Dallas speaks on multicultural a lot, and I'm big on it too. He says he bring his kids around the black kids, make their level go up.
Yeah.
I bring the black kids around the white kids. Because a lot of the black kids that I bring don't see white. Only white they see is the police.
Right.
Or the judges. Somebody that's tearing them apart. So they have this image in their head. I don't like this because he's a white man. You know what I'm saying? So when he says multicultural, I like to bring the kids around a little more diversity that way they have a different look on life. You know what I'm saying? It's more than football. You know.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's way more than football.
Well, you're teaching life lessons.
Absolutely.
Well, right, and that's what he's saying. Like a lot of folks that they've had issues with white or black or whatever, and then those people are like that.
Yeah.
It's coming back even stronger. That's why I say racism is starting to rebuild again.
Go figure it out for yourself of individuals. Individually figure it out what your what that person is about.
Don't be force fed something.
Right. Go buy into, okay, well, that guy's a prick, therefore they're all pricks. There's bad in all,
Oh, yeah.
all races, But
Sure.
I've got a saying that I've learned since I've gotten older. You can't be racist if you hate everybody equally. 'Cause that's just about where I've gotten to about everybody.
Yeah, I hate everybody equally. That's fair.
That's a good one.
I'm getting fed up with all of it. I'm telling you.
What happened to the human race?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's my thing.
Right. And so, yeah, what he's saying is, I think it's good for everyone to see how other people live and realize that people have it differently. And it goes back to, you can't be, if you're envious and jealous of people's success, you can't blame, for example, I have friends who grew up and really started on second and third base in life.
Sure.
And at one time I was probably more envious of them. As I got older and realized, good for them.
Yeah.
If they're good people. Now,
Right.
if they're jerks, I don't care anything about them. Won't have them in my life anyway. Don't
Sure.
give a shit about them. Don't you go brag to someone else about your success that your
Right.
great grandfather started for you.
Exactly.
I mean, they're not friends of mine, and I'm not hanging out with those guys. Socialize with them, period. But the football thing is, I think there's just so much to be learned about the competition in life, and especially if you have good, strong people around, are motivated, and take some time, take some of these dudes home, like I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like my friends are involved in the organization. Take some of these dudes home that have never been exposed to the good that you can that you could help them.
Sure.
with. And I expect out of these coaches. And like I said, if it goes back to where they're not doing it, they're not told to do it. But I'm very, very observant. A lot of times I'm sitting around not saying anything, might be misconstrued. I don't know what's going on. I'm looking at all of it.
All right. You're paying attention.
Everything. I have to.
If there is someone out there listening who has the same mentality and has just never had the opportunity or just didn't think there was an opportunity to help, is there a spot open to come talk to you or to anybody else or to Mark and to be a part of the coaching staff or to come and help in the organization?
Come and take my job. I will hand you the water bottles. Or I'll hold the water bottles for you. I'm sorry. I'll hand you the whistle. You hand me the water bottles. That's where I'm at. You don't have self-awareness to understand. It goes back to, disclaimer, I'm no Coach Sweeney. I'm not trying to be Coach Sweeney.
Right.
And I'm just trying to help some folks, man. So that goes back to starting the organization and all the things I've been through and the negatives of, I got a grocery store in town I can't even go to anymore, man. Just can't stand to go in there anymore. Just run into folks, and it's such a negative for folks starting this organization. I've literally had people come up to me in the grocery store. What do you do? Why are you trying to help these kids?
Why?
These kids aren't going to states or aren't going. These states where kids aren't going to South Iredell. Why are you trying to help these kids? And I know what they're getting at. I was like, no, hold on. These kids, I'll help them get to where I think they need to get.
Yeah.
If I got to go pick them up, that's what I'll do. And just mouth drops open. Just look at you like they caught you peeping in their windows or something. I mean, just like never thought about it. Yeah, I'm going to help my kids, you see. And then they'll start. I've literally had a low IQ woman this past summer. She did that, and my response was that. And then she come back with why are you taking kids from this other organization? I said, hold on. I spent $37,000 of my own money on credit cards, buying equipment, buying
$37,000.
You ask how to get
expensive.
You want to start a football organization? $37,000 is what I got into this deal. Buying, paying for the insurances, buying the football equipment, all the gear, trailer, related football equipment that we have to make it, to do it right.
Yep.
Did it right. Bet the ball, bought the best stuff. And I said, I spent $37,000 of my own money to help anybody who wants to be a part of this organization, including your kid. If you know anybody else in this community that's done that, let me know. I'd like to have them involved with my organization.
I'm about to say,
She didn't have nothing to say about that, So I don't even go to the damn grocery store over there. I mean, I can't go. It's crazy. Then I've had the same thing. Like I told you earlier, I've had people come up like, we would really like to be a part of your organization, but they tell me about how they'd be blackballed in town. We'd be blackballed by these folks, and how cliquish they are, and this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, that doesn't even make sense. Why would you want to call them people your friends?
But it's interesting.
That's what I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be people's friends, and I'm helping these kids. If you want to judge me because I'm helping, get kids prepared, I mean, that's just ignorance, man.
Well, from what I'm hearing and what I'm gathering, honestly, it may not be for what we have the society norms, though. But if you're looking to put your kid, or if you want to be a part of a coach in an organization that is a positive influence, that is growing men, that is teaching them how to grow, how to work together, responsibility, structure. It really sounds like? It sounds like you both are from the military. You're taking your military backgrounds and you're actually utilizing it putting it into your football program.
So Mark's a veteran in Navy, and I got Mark to come and doing all the talking, man. But he truly is the backbone of this deal. I mean, he brings us the best kids, like my favorite kids, the kids that get off the van, the kids that would not be playing football, that Mark knows in the community, good kids, worth investing time and money into, and it wouldn't be the same without them. I'm just a talker. What did he say the other day? Sell water to a well.
Sell water to a well, man.
Yeah. So, my demeanor and how I've done things is when, so like I said earlier, I grew up without a dad. Similar to some of these guys, he knows whatever. I mean, my old man, he's a damn drug dealer. Growing up, Malfunction Junction. He was terrible at it, though, man. He was terrible. He was a terrible drug dealer.
He wasn't Pablo Escobar?
No, he was too stupid making money, man. So, which is probably maybe that's why I'm okay in business. I've figured out what not to do.
What not to do.
Yeah,
sure. Take those life lessons and turn them around.
Yeah, no, so football coaches, was really the only good dudes, strong dudes I had growing up. And it's not a deal to where I, bleeding heart, I didn't have a dad, man. I've never said that once. I wouldn't change anything, man. My old man was a wild ass. Family was a wild ass. It was some of it a good time. It's kind of like growing up in the wild, wild west up there where I'm from in Union Grove. A bit wild, crazy,
Good people up there, though.
Other side of the railroad tracks was where I grew up. Anyway, went to the military, and we talked about this briefly, I had this unique deal of just the right timing, right place at the right time where I was stationed, who I was stationed with. Guys that went on to do great things in the military. I mean, really make a name for themselves in the military. And my first sergeant become one of the highest ranking NCOs in all the military. And literally, guy, big Samoan, big 6'3". I don't know if you guys know about Samoan. They're all shaped about the same. They're big, solid dudes, They
look like The Rock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Never touch a weight. Look like that, right? A lot of them.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I got that problem.
Big Samoan guy, had a unique voice, and I heard it a lot because he hated me. Man, he hated me, Probably still hates me. That's who he is. He's a real man, like a real dude,
Yeah.
So I'm in there with these guys in the infantry, guys who'd been to combat. I'm 18 years old. I'm in there with mid-20s, 30-year-old dudes, Rangers, airborne Rangers. It's just hard asses, man. Back when you could smack dudes around still.
Right.
And really get after them, insult them. Real good.
Hurt their feelings real good.
Real good. Cut them deep. Right?
That's right.
Everybody asks me a lot of times, man, what's wrong with you? That's kind of part of it. But so, I had these good, strong leaders. And like I said, my first sergeant to include him first and foremost, because after I'd got out of the Army, a couple years later, I'm walking through my now wife's mom and dad's house, taking food out on the porch, and some news channel was on. I heard this voice that I'd heard a whole bunch cussing me out. Put the brakes on, looked at the TV. Here's Sergeant Major Savusa addressing thousands of soldiers in Europe that were about to. This was 2001, being deployed.
Oh wow!
First wave of Afghanistan, and there he was, in charge of the highest NCO, in charge of the European command. Right, my first sergeant.
That's amazing.
Dude used to put his paws on me, hated me.
What was it? What feeling? What feeling did you have though in that moment where you're like, wait a minute, you hit the brakes and you had to turn around?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, just it was just happy for him, and like I say, he hated me. I was just a wild ass man, coming from the country, run wild. I run with a bunch of wild dudes. He didn't like any of us,
Yeah.
And but one-on-one, it wasn't like true hate.
Sure.
It was like, you punk ass kid, you're a pain in my ass,
Right.
And but ultimately, the other guys that I was in the Army with, went on and do some special things, special forces. Several of these guys. My squad leader went to be special forces. Guys in my squad went to be special forces. 17, 18-year career special forces. So they didn't get there because they were a bunch of pansies, man. These guys are some dudes. Let me tell you, those guys are special. They're as special as those SEC players we're talking about. Their specialty is just much different. So
they're superhuman.
Well, they're just a different human being. So, being, with those guys and working with those guys for years and then coming home and just, anybody that's ever been in the military, they'll always tell you, you'll never have friends like that. And you'll never have, it's just different. I mean, I've got pals now, thankfully. I've got a lot of good friends, a lot of pals, but it's just different. It's different. So never really got away from that, and I always thought that I'd owed those guys for showing me how not, no is something I don't take it. If you tell me if it's something work related or whatever I'm trying to get done, no is not going to work for me, man. It's just not going to work. I'm not going to have it. Just like I have with my businesses, and then we started the football that, was told you can't do that. Never happened. Here we are, year 2, 4 teams, growing, more players than we had last year, more coaches than we had last year, more folks talking, wanting to come on board. We've got play other organizations, and someone directs them to us and wants our contact information. They want to come leave the organization to come play for ours. Well-oiled machine is what we are right now. Very organized.
But your kids also get the opportunity to go to these camps and be exposed to Coach Olson, right? And his son Kevin, or
So
you were telling me about that earlier.
So, talking about attracting good people. I started taking Brody to camps and his teammates, a couple kids in, these camps. And I'd heard about this Olson Back to Basics camp. And it's really Coach Olson. Mm-hmm. And I'm not big on name dropping, and I never compare, someone's brother to what the other brother is. I know people who have successful athletic brothers or related.
Yep.
And it's always hard, I can only imagine, hard on them. And I've never had the conversation with Kevin about it, but Kevin's Kevin Olson, and not his brother Greg Olson. So, but the point I'm making is Greg Olson attracts the people to go to the camps. When I got there in a hurry, I realized it was Coach Olson that I'd heard about and I'd read about. And Coach is phenomenal football coach. I mean, he speaks the language of football, and it is in depth. And 40-year coach, and took teams 15 state championships. Where they're from, New Jersey, So got to meet the guy, but he's a dude. Like, he's not a guy you're gonna, he's a guy like my friends. He's not a guy who's gonna come up and meet him. He's gonna dap you up. He's a hard ass.
Yeah.
And then the first day I met him, I was like, "It's my kind of guy, right here." I just watched him, man, and he kicked off in these dudes' rear ends for a week, and the coaching staff they had there was good, very in depth and very motivated, and so got to know them. And then he had. The second year going to the camp, he'd recommended that I start working with, or Brody start working with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And so, fast forward, I got him about as far as I thought I can get him, and it's about time to see if, what else someone else can do for him. If to teach him more than what I could. Like I said, my knowledge is limited.
Yep.
You know, I'm good at pounding square pegs into round holes, you know, but I'm not, you know, I know my limitations.
Right.
And so started working with Kevin, and he had mentioned about the organization, what we've got going on. He came up and we did a camp with our players. And then the next week, taking KJ and Mac and Brody, guys that working with down there, he had said, you know, really like that, man. You got some dudes up there. I've never seen kids that athletic, you know, 12 years old, you know, impressed. And so kind of hinted around that he might want to coach with us. And I was like, dude, if you're wanting to coach with us, that would be awesome.
Right.
And he's like, well, I don't have experience at youth level. You know, he's a quarterback coach down at Huff. Great resume of his own ability.
Sure.
As far as, you know, went to Miami and UNCC, and then he had this, you know, situation come up. You know, not talk about his business, but you know, it's important because the guy is it's very unfortunate, and it happens in society. But he had a situation come up, and I don't know all the details, and I haven't asked about it other than all the details I needed to know about it, because I knew that he was accused of a crime that he was acquitted of.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's all I need to know. And I know the family, the coach, and you know, and been around them for a couple years, and know them to be good dudes. I know I have a damn good judge of character, and I knew that they were solid as human beings as I've ever met. Greg was NFL Man of the Year,
right?
You know, so you don't get that from being fake. You know, you don't fake those things. You know, so I know that Coach Olson, Pops Olson, we call him, done a good job with the boys. You can just tell it was genuine, and so I got out in front of it and thought, if I bring this guy on, is there going to be a fallout? Because I'm always thinking what's best for the organization.
Sure.
And you know, in society we live in, you never know what backlash you can have. So I put it out there to the parents. I had a meeting. Let me ask what you think about this. And individually, we know about that.
Mm-hmm.
You say is a good dude, we have no problem with it. And I went down the line, every one of them. But we have no problem with it. It's unfortunate that happened to him, kind of thing. And it is. It ruined his football career. And so I went to him. I said, hey, if you want to coach with us, man, we could really use your guys' X's and O's. I've got enough on me.
Sure.
I'm full up with it right now. Offensively, the conversations we had that he had ran in high school and some of the stuff he'd done at Miami and at UNCC, it was different what we've been doing. I wanted to learn about it, and he had all the answers. I said it'd be really good for these guys, you know, if you can come on. So yeah, him and his dad come on. They come up every week. You know, I don't pay these guys.
Wow.
And he's not doing it like to repair an image. They're generally good dudes, man. I mean, you know, Coach Olson comes up there and he's coached these kids. He's coached kids 40 years or something. He's up there he is on it. I mean, he's not standing around like makes us feel bad. We're standing around holding water bottles. This guy is just straight on it. We got to remind him, hey, give these kids some water before you kill them. You know,
it's interesting. But
been dark for 2 hours, Coach.
Come on, we can't kill him. You know, it's interesting. You know, you're talking about Kevin. If he was doing it for publicity or whatnot, he would be in an organization that has more bright lights and cameras for the photo op, right? He's not. That's not what this is.
No, we don't do that. You know, I don't do a near good enough job promoting this organization like I really want to, and then that would be part of it for something like that. You know, if he is not going to be able to physically play football, you know, his only, I think, option in life is to coach football. That's what he knows.
He would probably be in Pop Warner coaching for Snoop if it was all about the bells and whistles.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. Something where someone
he's on Netflix.
Yeah, something like that maybe, right? But, you know.
But what an opportunity for your players to be around a coaching legend who knows the X's and O's like the father, you know, and then to have someone who played at such a high level and who is talented in himself, you know, and then to get the structure from you guys. So the kids who are playing with you are really and truly, from what I've learned tonight, is they're getting a really unique opportunity that there's not a lot of kids that I don't know this, but I don't think there's a lot of kids in this county who are getting that same opportunity.
There's none.
No, you know, not like what we're doing. Not
none.
That.
Because I'm all over the place when it comes to youth sports. You know, I got my hands in a little bit of everything, and I keep my eyes and ears to to the.
He's coaching multiple sports.
So how I imagine this rolls over the mentality from what you do in football, Mark, into basketball too. So if there's a kid out there, probably not, but listening, or maybe some parents are listening, how can they get in touch with you guys to find out how can I get my son involved into what you're doing?
Having to think back through what all I've said because I don't know all of
Well,
it.
let's
Who
see.
I've insulted.
Can they?
I haven't
for
insulted
social media. Dallas
social
is not
media.
a big social media guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's
I'm
he's
old
old school.
Yeah, thinking about
I
it.
never worked through social media.
So how? What social media outlet can they find you on? Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right,
Facebook, Instagram.
And what? How can they
Twitter.
find you guys on Facebook?
It's Iredell United Bandits.
Iredell United Bandits.
Yep. And
Or
that's our-
Carolina Rising Stars basketball.
Iredell United.
Star, so yeah, what I was saying was I think I've probably not done anywhere near justice to some people thinking that how bad the insulting I would do tonight.
I'd
So-
like to speak
so
on
my
the
cell number
Olsons
out there.
a little bit before we
Yeah,
end
sure,
this.
sure.
The thing that amazes me about them is that the system that they bring to these young kids is a very high level system.
Oh man,
I mean, very
It's
high level system. And
it's
a lot
college
of high school
verbiage.
kids are not running these plays, and we run a different set of plays every week.
Every week.
Every week. We're in week 10, and we don't run the same plays every week, but he makes it very simple for these kids to catch on, and they're dominating.
You know, the interesting thing about that is if I go back to the lady in the grocery store, you guys are running a complex system that you're not running the same plays every week that other schools and even high school around here aren't running.
Absolutely.
But a lady in the grocery store asks you, why are you doing this?
Well, it goes back to that whole rec ball mentality of what they're doing is the best way and the right way. You know, and it really separates the human society of the old school way.
Yeah.
Our coaches, everything's earned, getting prepared.
I started playing football on the concrete, tackle football
right.
on the concrete.
You know?
You rarely see kids. I got kids now that won't even practice basketball outside on the concrete.
Yeah, right.
You're kidding.
Absolutely.
There was no
I mean,
there was no option when we were growing up.
Absolutely. You know,
We had to break into Statesville High School through the window.
right.
You could, if you pushed it just right by the street, you could pop that one window open. And most time they never kept the door locked inside going up the
there's no
gym.
AC outside.
Yeah,
It's
well,
soft.
that's right. So part of it, but you know,
That's
our deal
the
is
kids we
we're
got.
bringing in athletic, motivated kids that we are trying to develop. And ultimate goal is just this: it's not about winning for us. And I'm not going to leave out the fact that Iredell United Varsity's 9-0. Forgot, can't leave it out that we're 9. We just happen to be undefeated, 9-0, leading the league in
Nine
points.
games on.
But you're not
Points
counting
allowed
those
and
victories.
Yeah.
But we happen to be 9-0.
So, but the point I'm making is we're getting kids prepared to contribute, get on the field earlier in high school. The earlier you can get on the field in high school, the earlier you can get film. And then we can get into where the camps I've been to and the coaches that I've been able to talk to who are very approachable to ask these questions about recruiting. And a lot of folks say if you're good, they'll find you.
Sure.
Well, let me tell you, as everyone knows, there's a heck of a lot of money in big time college football.
Yep.
ACC, SEC. Not so much mid majors. Big separation there and pay for the coaches and funding. But the leagues are, the conferences that have the TV deals, there's so much money in it. And there's so much. That's how these guys are making all this money and paying all this money. But they're kicking over every stone. Mac Brown's doing a great job down in Carolina doing that right now, trying to keep the guys in state, kicking over every stone, calling every coach, just trying to find the dudes before they leave the state. And because we lose a lot of guys to go to the SEC.
Right.
Because they're trying to make it to the league. And obviously that's a good way to make it to the league, go play SEC ball, right?
Big
but ultimately,
spotlight.
our kids, getting them on the field earlier in high school, we've done our job. And the reason I said the 9-0 varsity deal is, I'm not the guy who's going to go, we don't post anything about the wins. We haven't.
I do.
The wins. Yeah, some of the guys individually.
I do.
A lot of the folks out there
kids,
bragging
man.
about 10,
I have to
10U,
get these guys out here.
the 8U, and the 6U, and these guys are bragging at different football forums about we got the best 8U and the best 10U in the state. Man, the heck with all that crap. Let me tell you where.
Line them up.
Well,
That shuts them up.
yeah, but
Line them up.
Line them up.
well, that's some people's opinion of it. My personal opinion of an organization, if you're doing your job, is if your varsity team, your oldest age team is clicking on and being very competitive, they're getting ready to move into the 8th grade, the 9th grade. They're going to start taking jobs. And, they're going to show up better prepared than the other guys. And they're putting dudes on the bench. And those are the parents we talked about 2 hours ago yelling down there at the coaches. It's the coach's fault because, their kid's 165 pound, 6'4" and 165 pound beanstalk, but, that's the rest of it's irrelevant to me as long as they're playing and they're learning and they get to that level and they're prepared to play and that they can compete highly at that level. They're going to go on to middle school, which they are in middle school with our kids, and start it. They're going to start.
Let me ask you a few quick questions. So, can a kid play middle school and play for you guys, the Bandits?
So we play on the weekends.
Okay,
Saturdays. Middle school ball here is on Tuesdays.
So you guys play on the weekends, and there's 4 teams in your organization.
Yep.
And
6, 8, 10,
what is the championship, or what is that like? Yeah. Is it just between you 4, and then there's...
Well, no, I mean, so it's 4 different age groups, and you, for example, it's a seeding for us. There's only the top 4 of the leagues. There's 12 teams in our league. Top 4 teams go to the playoffs.
Yep.
And in the first round, obviously the first seed plays the 4th seed, and the second plays the 3rd, and the next week they play the championship game.
Okay.
So,
and that is here. They'll play that here in Iredell County.
At Mooresville. They're at Mooresville High School.
Okay.
November 24th. So that's down the road. And I'm not arrogant about this. I mean, we can get beat. We played a very competitive team last week. Gave up some of the first points first scores we'd had put on us all year. So I don't look past it. We're going to
shutouts, man.
Yeah, a lot of shutouts.
Yeah, a lot of shutouts.
Man. I got faith in my team. We're gonna win that shit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
you have to be confident.
We've got some dogs.
Sure.
We've got some kids that'll get it. I mean, they'll flat get it, and they want it though.
Refuse to lose.
Yeah,
See, I think this ties back into like the mentality of what you're doing. Your team refuse to lose. You got some guys who are going to go out there and get it. But I think that is why I think the story behind the name Bandits is great. Yeah. So how did you get the name? How did you choose the name?
We were going to talk about this. What are you going to ask me next? I'm a Trump supporter and then run families off? I mean,
no. I think it's a great story. It's a great story.
So, Brad and I, back to this guy that started IU with me, going through, okay, what are we going to call this thing? Wrote down all these names. He came up with the Iredell United, and which I thought was great. And I came up with a couple of different names, and I've always been a fan of the Smokey and the Bandit movie. Right?
Sure,
and
it's an iconic movie. It's an iconic
we
character.
We talked about this. So the Harry Gant 33 car was partly owned by.
Well,
Burt
I don't
Reynolds.
think a lot of people know this, so tell that part of the story.
Right, so
because that's a critical part of the story.
He was a part owner in the ownership of the Skoal racing car.
Yeah, because you were a Harry Gant fan,
the
right?
Skoal Bandit, because Burt Reynolds is the Bandit, right? He was the Bandit.
Will always be the Bandit.
Always be the Bandit. And so that Skoal Bandit car, that actual Bandit, we took that originally. I was like, that's it. We're the Bandits, man.
You are the Bandits,
man, and Bandits could stand for a whole lot of things. But ultimately, we took that and sent it off to some graphics design folks, and they kept sending us bad to better. And then when they came back with the logo, the one on my hat right here, Sheriff's hat it's on, that was it.
You knew it when you saw it.
That's it. There we go. So we took that old logo, that old Skoal Bandit logo, and turned it into this, and we've been the Bandits ever since. And now it's it's pretty good looking stuff, man. We have a lot of comments on.
But that's why if you look at it, you know what it is.
Yeah.
And when I see it, I know now.
Yeah.
The irony of the whole story is,
what's that?
I created this 13 years ago and got shunned.
Really?
Yeah, I got shunned, but it came back to me.
It just goes to show, man, people can find something negative they want it. But if you think about everything that we listened to here tonight about how this got started, the mentality, you pound a square peg into a round hole. I mean, you guys are bandits. You're doing it your own way. You're not listening to nobody else. this is your style. You went and created your own style because what you were being offered, you didn't want no part of that. You didn't want your son or other kids to be a part of that. Nothing against what they're doing over there.
We gave them an option.
Right. So you
that
created.
They never had.
Right.
Vilified for it.
You're blazing your own trail.
Yeah, but that's the life we've lived.
Sure.
The life less traveled. Like guys like me, for example, growing up how I grew up, we don't amount to much, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I can contribute to all this. Like how I grew up, and I told you about that briefly. Is my mom told me something when I was 16 years old, stuck with me forever, and it's really the base of how it's all worked. When I was 16, being a wild ass, wrecking cars, tearing stuff up, doing what we all did in Eagle Mills back in the day, crazy. She said, if you want anything in life, you're going to have to figure out how to get it.
Right.
I can't give it to you.
So go get it.
Enough said.
Enough said.
Enough said. So I joined the Army on my own, and I'd really been on my own since probably 15, making my own decisions, good or bad. A lot of bad in there.
I hate to say it, but say that to a kid nowadays, you might have to put them on suicide watch.
It's true.
I mean, that's just the kid that we got now.
Yeah, no, that's right. And it's just the way society is raising kids and all, but
yeah, but there's still good guys like you who are around.
All we can do is all we can do.
Right.
And I wish we could spend more time with the kids. We're looking into. I'm actually working with a developer to buy some land to build a facility and actually grow this thing. Into all-encompassing sports and anchor it with a facility. And it's really, it all comes from the motivation, the self-employment, and the other things I've done that I wasn't supposed to be able to accomplish. And I'm not saying it. I don't consider myself a successful person. I don't even know what that is. I just I'm better off than what I should have been.
Yeah.
What I was set out to be. But I'm not.
We're not done.
We're not done.
Yeah, but I'm not. What I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is, the motivation I've had from all those things, and the motivation I got, and that more people come up to me, and jump out from behind freezer doors and grocery stores, tell me what a bad person I am. I'm stealing kids in the middle of the night.
Grinch.
Yeah,
that's right.
Grinch. And the more I get that, and the more negative that I hear, out there about us, and all the just the stuff to steer people away from us, because they're mostly, these other organizations are afraid to lose power. That's what
Sure.
it's about. It's not about leadership with them. It's about the loss of control.
The more people
they want to control the people, want to control the kids, money coming in.
Of course.
The kids. If you look at a lot of these organizations, figure out where they're spending money and who
Yep.
it's with. There's a lot of common. I had to get really motivated looking into some of this stuff here back in the summer. The fear of losing control is more than the motivation to actually help the kids do better.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
And they don't know how to lead.
Right.
Most of these people don't know how to lead. They just don't want to lose control. So how do you not lose control? A lot like society going on right now. A little bit of misinformation, don't want anything to do with that. Right?
Well, see, that's
so the more motivation I get, that's motivation for me.
Right.
So the more I hear that, the more that the more I'm going to do.
Well, the more stuff you keep hearing, the more
out.
grumbles, that means you're doing something right.
Right. Fuel for the fire.
That's right, man. And so a good example is that, like we talked about the lady, but I'll tell you something else that's going on here, going to football games and stuff. A lot of folks involved with these other organizations. And I enjoy this. And because talk doesn't bother me. If you're talking about me, it means I'm doing something right.
Exactly.
Right. And when you walk past grown men that are involved in other organizations that won't look you in the eye, that look at the ground when they walk by you, I got you.
I got you.
Happened today. Happened to me today.
Sign of weakness.
Yep. It's not the alpha.
I got you. And that's what I attract. That's what we attract. I want to fill this organization full of guys just like me. Not arrogant.
There's a difference.
They're not confident guys.
Right.
I don't do arrogant. I don't do pompous. You don't have any self-awareness that if you talk about yourself in the third person, I mean, we ain't Deion Sanders here. We ain't prime.
That's right.
And, but I don't do that. I just want confident guys who have some leadership ability, who could teach and maybe help a kid that can, that's never heard anything like, hey, if you do well in school. I mean, a good example is a guy involved in our organization that something else this guy brought to the table. Breon Borders.
Yeah.
Made his first start in the league.
Yeah, he did.
Got a fumble recovery too. Shout out to Breon Boyd.
Yeah, he had.
Right.
We were watching.
Solid dude.
He had an opportunity. He could have been Defensive Player of the Week because I think he had more than 6 tackles and a forced fumble.
Yep. Will tell you right now, 4th best athlete on his high school football team.
Yeah.
Didn't even start as a freshman.
I know. I used to go watch him.
Senior year might have been the 4th best.
Mm-hmm.
Made the best decisions. Had the best work ethic. End up at Duke. Cutcliffe down there.
Mm-hmm.
Some other guys, Crowder.
All that he just named is what got him in Duke. Not the wins or the losses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So not because he had umpteen interceptions, because when he got to Duke, they had to break him completely down and rebuild him into a football player. But they seen that they could do that to him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He'll tell you.
Yep.
They had to break him completely down because he was not taught nothing here.
Wow.
That's one of the reasons what moved me into getting into youth sports. Fundamentals, mentoring and all that. So I've been in this kid's life for 13, 14 years. I've been a part mentoring him. Never really got to coach him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, because I sat back and watched him grow as an athlete. But his senior year is what pushed me to getting into football and stuff. I'm like, I spent time with him while he was at Duke playing every game.
Right.
Went and seen him as a Jaguar, So I mean, just watching him grow as a freshman, nobody.
Yep.
No playing time, no nothing. Senior year, they made a nice little run in the playoffs.
Sure.
But, it ended. And then for him to get to Duke. Now, mind you, his senior year, he could have graduated early and went to Duke, but he chose to stay back, and he made a basketball run with his high school team.
Yeah.
But every Saturday morning, I would watch this kid get up because his trainers from Duke sent him like a booklet, and he trained himself every Saturday morning, religiously by himself.
That's rare.
And it's very rare. Very rare.
Yep.
And like I said, once he got to the collegiate level, they had to break him completely down. And they rebuilt what you're seeing now.
Yeah, but, he had Cutcliffe, man.
Yeah.
Cut.
And Jones,
My
his
kid
defensive
like
back
that guy.
coach,
Yeah.
he played a big role in his life too. But Cutcliffe, that was like a father figure to him.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that hopefully kids here. I know he runs a camp, but more exposure so they can hear the work ethic, the leadership, and
He's around
mentor.
our guys a lot.
Is he?
So, him and Marc are tight, man.
Yeah.
Good.
And I've got to know Breon, pretty well, but him and Marc are tight, man. They're,
The more kids
some other guys, but
in
they're
this
around-
county
he's around our
need to.
organization more than anyone. So there's the opening.
If they know his story. If
Yeah.
they know
Well,
where
they
he
need to
come
know his
from.
story.
He talks to the kids about it, and it's really about make good choices.
Yeah.
Make good decisions. Surround yourself with good people, and a few other things. And that's like I tell my kids, you may not have all the things you think that you want, and the cars and the houses and all that. That don't happen to anybody anyway. Really. I mean, very few people.
Right.
happens.
That's not real.
That's not right. I mean, but what you can do, and a realistic goal to have is, we talked about the college is, you can have a house and you can get out of your situation and you can have well more than the kids you grew up with and the folks you grew up around if you'll just do these few things right here and be prepared to work and grind.
Sure.
He has a saying, rise and grind. All the
Rise
time.
and grind. That's real.
Rise and grind. Yeah, that's what it is. It's 6 days a week of rising and grinding. But you know what? You're getting ahead.
It pays off, man, in the long
Every
run.
Never
time
stops.
you can.
It never stops.
Right. So that's what, that's part of all what we're doing and what we're talking to the kids about, and hopefully they buy into it.
So if there's kids or parents out there or someone who wants to help coach, how can they find you guys again and reach out to you?
So Facebook page, that's
Facebook, and that
kind
is
of
the Iredell United Bandits,
Yep.
and Instagram is the same.
Yes.
What?
But, Facebook is what we, keep an eye on the most as
Okay.
far as media goes. We have a website, Iredell United Bandits. It's actually under construction right now. Someone new just took it over. No, it's Iredell United, sorry. It's just Iredell United
Okay.
is our website.
I'll put all that on the link on the YouTube, and I'll put it on the podcast platforms when this podcast is available for that. That way people can see it and click on the links and do whatever and try to find you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. No, if folks are motivated and want to come and help, I mean,
I'm
we're
the
trying to
type-
attract good people. That's what
I'm
I
the
want to
type
fill this organization
most-
good people.
The type most wouldn't do it, but you can put my phone number on there.
Okay.
You can easily reach out to me. I'm 704
Yep.
437
Yep.
02 80.
80.
It's
All
about the
right.
kids. I'm all about it.
We'll put it on there and hopefully
I'd
somebody
give you
will reach
mine, but
out.
There's only like 6 people left in Troutman. Don't hate me. So all 6 of them
We got to
call.
move north to Statesville. So you worked your way down. They hate you in the north, they hate you in the middle, and they hate you in the south. That means you're doing something right. Well, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I appreciate that you're creating structure, discipline, and positive male role models and exposing these kids to quality coaching and athletes too, and giving them an opportunity, if they want to take advantage of it.
Yep.
And I appreciate you accepting my offer to come on the show. Thank you, Mark, for coming too, and thank you guys for what you're doing. And if there's anything I can do to help, always let me know. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And I want to thank you to our sponsors, to States Vegas Clothing, to kasey.tate at Farm Bureau Insurance, to Integrity Security, to Dustin McCrary at Dustin McCrary Law, Hunk of Junk Calling, and to, I think I'm missing one. Oh, yeah, Black Flag Holster Company. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.